The air hangs thick and heavy, a suffocating blanket woven from humidity and the cloying scent of decay. Sunlight, fractured and weak, barely penetrates the emerald canopy overhead, casting the jungle floor in perpetual twilight. For weeks, our team has been hacking our way through this unforgiving landscape, driven by whispers and legends. Rumors of something lost, something swallowed whole by the insatiable green. We're a motley crew, seasoned explorers hardened by years in the field, historians chasing forgotten narratives, and local guides whose knowledge of this terrain is unmatched. And then it appears, a glint of metal, impossibly bright against the backdrop of verdant chaos. It's subtle, fleeting, almost swallowed by the dense foliage, but it's enough. Enough to stop us dead in our tracks, to silence the rasping breaths and the incessant drone of insects. Adrenaline surges, a cold, sharp current against the oppressive heat. This is it. This could be it. The culmination of months of planning, years of research, a lifetime of dreaming. Cautiously, we push forward, machetes whispering through the undergrowth. The vegetation fights back, thorny vines snagging at our clothes, thick roots tripping our feet. Each step is a victory, a gain of hard-won ground. The glint grows larger, resolving into a more definite shape. A curve, an edge, a wing? Our pace quickens, driven by a primal urge to see, to understand. The air grows thicker still, charged with anticipation. And then, the trees part. The sight that greets us is breathtaking, surreal. A crashed plane, half submerged in the embrace of the jungle. Its metallic skin is scarred and weathered, a tapestry of rust and peeling paint. Vines snake across its fuselage like emerald veins, binding it to the earth. The wings are twisted at unnatural angles, testament to the violent forces that brought it down. It is a ghost, a specter from a forgotten era, resurrected by the relentless march of time. It's hard to say exactly what type of aircraft it is at first. Too many years of decomposition and the aggressive plant growth have distorted its original form. But there's something undeniably vintage about it. Its design speaks to a time of propeller-driven flights and analog technology. We can see the remnants of what must have been powerful engines, now choked with vegetation and corrosion. A hush falls over the team. We stand in silent awe, humbled by the scale of the discovery and the somber weight of history. This is more than just a wreckage. It's a time capsule, a monument to human endeavor and the fragility of life. After a moment of silent contemplation, the professional curiosity kicks in. We fan out, cautiously circling the downed aircraft. The initial assessment is critical. We need to understand the layout, the damage, the potential dangers. "Careful where you step," I murmur, my voice barely audible above the jungle's ambient noise. We don't know what's unstable. The team moves with practiced caution, their eyes constantly scanning for hazards, collapsing structures, hidden crevices, venomous creatures seeking shelter within the wreckage. The exterior is a maze of broken metal and tangled vegetation. We document everything meticulously, taking photographs and notes, creating a visual record of the plane's current state. We try to ascertain the angle of impact, the extent of the damage. There are obvious entry points, gaping holes in the fuselage, shattered windows, a partially detached door hanging precariously on its hinges. But approaching these openings requires careful planning. The structure could be unstable. We need to probe first, test for weakness. One of our local guides, a man named Kai with eyes that seem to see through the jungle itself, approaches the tail section, which is relatively intact. He runs a calloused hand along the metal, his expression unreadable. "There are markings here," he says, his voice low and respectful, faded but visible. We converge on the tail section, peering through the gloom. He's right. Faint, almost indiscernible symbols are etched into the metal, partially obscured by rust and grime. They appear to be some sort of insignia, a military emblem perhaps. We take photographs from multiple angles, hoping to enhance the images later and decipher their meaning. Could they tell us anything about this aircraft's origin or mission? Meanwhile, another member of the team, Dr. Elena Ramirez, a historian specializing in aviation archaeology, is carefully examining the cockpit area. She is using a small handheld device to test for structural integrity and potential hazards. "The cockpit is severely compromised," she calls out. The instrument panel is largely destroyed, but I can see fragments of gauges and wiring. It's going to be difficult to access safely. We decide to focus our initial efforts on the rear cargo door, which appears to be the least structurally compromised entry point. But even this requires careful preparation. The door is jammed shut, likely fused to the frame by years of corrosion. We'll need to use tools to pry it open, but we must proceed with caution, avoiding any sudden movements that could cause further damage or collapse. The tension is palpable. We are standing on the threshold of something significant, a portal into a forgotten past. But the jungle guards its secrets fiercely. We know that entering this plane will be fraught with danger, both physical and perhaps even emotional. We are about to confront the ghosts of the past, the echoes of a tragedy that unfolded in this very spot. We take a deep breath, steeling ourselves for what lies ahead. The adventure has begun, but the real journey, the journey into the heart of this mystery, is about to begin. All right, so they found it. The metallic gleam, once a beacon of hope and progress, now a tarnished monument to a bygone era, had finally relinquished its secret to the jungle's embrace. But finding the plane was only half the battle. Now came the arduous task of getting inside. The years had not been kind. Vines, thick as pythons, had woven themselves through every conceivable crevice, effectively welding the fuselage shut. The relentless humidity had corroded hinges and locks, turning once reliable mechanisms into stubborn, unyielding obstacles. Forget simply opening a door, this was going to take some serious effort. Armed with machetes, axes, and a healthy dose of determination, the team began to hack away at the vegetation. It was painstaking work, each swing of the blade a battle against the jungle's suffocating grip. Hours bled into what felt like an eternity, the air thick with sweat and the drone of insects. Finally, after what seemed like an age, a sliver of daylight pierced through a stubbornly overgrown emergency exit. Cheers erupted as the team redoubled their efforts, finally managing to pry the hatch open with a resounding screech of protesting metal. The air that rushed out was thick, heavy, and laden with the unmistakable scent of decay. A musty, almost sweet odor that spoke of time, neglect, and something far more sinister. This wasn't just the smell of an old plane. It was the smell of history, slowly returning to the earth. Flashlights flickered to life, cutting through the gloom of the aircraft's interior. What they revealed was a scene straight out of a nightmare. Years of humidity, insect infestation, and scavenging animals had ravaged the once pristine cabin. Seats were torn and shredded, their upholstery reduced to dust and tatters. Overhead compartments sagged open, spilling their pathetic contents onto the floor. But the worst was yet to come. Scattered amongst the debris were remains. Skeletal remains. Human remains. Clustered near their seats, still strapped in place. Some were more intact than others, but each one was a stark, silent testament to the tragedy that had unfolded within these metal walls. It was a sobering moment, a chilling reminder that this wasn't just some abandoned relic. This was a tomb. A wave of silence washed over the team, a respectful pause for the souls trapped within. The thrill of discovery was quickly replaced by a profound sense of solemnity. This was no longer an adventure. It was a memorial. After a moment of reflection, the team, with renewed reverence, continued their exploration. Amidst the devastation, they began to uncover clues, fragments of the past that hinted at the story of the ill-fated flight. A pilot's helmet lay crushed beneath a fallen oxygen tank, its leather cracked and brittle. A child's teddy bear, its fur matted and faded, lay clutched in the skeletal hand of what appeared to be a young woman. These were not just artifacts. They were remnants of lives cut short, frozen in time. Then they found it. Tucked away in a battered flight bag, almost miraculously preserved, was a logbook. Its pages were yellowed and fragile, but the ink was still legible. With trembling hands, they began to decipher the entries, piecing together the final days of the doomed flight. The logbook painted a harrowing picture. Initial entries spoke of routine missions, cheerful camaraderie, and the everyday realities of life during wartime. But as they progressed, the tone shifted, becoming increasingly frantic. Entries described unexpected storms, mechanical malfunctions, and a growing sense of unease amongst the crew. The final entry, scrawled in haste, spoke of a desperate attempt to navigate through a blinding squall, followed by a jarring impact. Then, silence. The logbook also contained cryptic symbols and sketches, intricate geometric patterns that seemed out of place amidst the technical jargon. Were these simply doodles born of boredom, or did they hold a deeper meaning? The team wasn't sure, but they meticulously documented everything, knowing that even the smallest detail could be crucial to unlocking the plane's secrets. Besides the logbook and scattered personal effects, the team unearthed other strange artifacts. A small, intricately carved wooden idol, seemingly of indigenous origin, was found tucked beneath a seat. What was it doing on board? Who did it belong to? And then there were the strange metallic cylinders about the size of a thermos, etched with unfamiliar symbols. Their purpose was a complete mystery. Were they some kind of experimental technology? Were they part of the plane's cargo? The more they uncovered, the more questions arose. The interior of the plane was a maze of mysteries, a puzzle box filled with tragic clues. Deciphering the meaning of these objects, understanding their connection to the ill-fated flight would be a challenge. But the team knew they had stumbled upon something truly extraordinary, something that could rewrite history. They had found a lost world, and with it, the responsibility to tell its story. The jungle had kept its secret for decades, but now the truth was ready to be unearthed. Okay, so we've managed to claw our way inside. Decayed metal, unsettling silence, and a logbook hinting at a desperate struggle for survival. But what does it all mean? The logbook, miraculously still somewhat legible, becomes our Rosetta Stone. Its fragile pages whisper tales of a routine transport mission gone horribly wrong. Severe storms, navigational errors, and then radio silence. The last entries paint a picture of a crew fighting not just the elements, but also encroaching despair. They were lost, running low on supplies, and with each passing day, hope seemed to dwindle. But it's not just the logbook. Scattered around the cockpit, we find personal effects. A faded photograph of a woman and child tucked into a wallet, a worn rosary, a hand-carved wooden bird. These aren't just artifacts. They're echoes of lives interrupted, of families waiting for news that never came. Each object a poignant reminder that this isn't just a discovery, it's a tragedy. The moral weight of this discovery begins to sink in. We're not just explorers. We're custodians of their story. Do we have the right to disturb their final resting place? To expose their secrets to the world? Or do we leave them in peace, allowing the jungle to continue its silent vigil? The arguments within our team become heated. Some, driven by a thirst for knowledge, argue that the world deserves to know the truth, that these men and women should be remembered, their story preserved for posterity. They envision museums, documentaries, a chance for relatives to finally find closure. Others, myself included, are more hesitant. We've seen firsthand the ruthlessness of the jungle, the way it devours and reclaims everything. Is it our place to interfere with that natural process? Wouldn't it be more respectful to simply document our findings, then leave the plane undisturbed, a silent memorial in the heart of the green abyss? And then there's the third faction, the pragmatists. They see opportunity, potential financial gain. This plane, they argue, could be a gold mine. Salvage the valuable parts, sell the artifacts, write a sensational book. They see dollar signs where others see tragedy, viewing the crash site as a commodity rather than a sacred space. The tension is palpable. Our initial excitement has been replaced by a heavy sense of responsibility and a growing unease. The jungle itself seems to be watching us, waiting to see what we'll do. But our moral dilemmas are quickly overshadowed by a more immediate threat. While deciphering the logbook, we stumble upon a series of coded entries. These entries, unlike the others, are written in a language we don't immediately recognize. After some intense research, we realize it's a dialect used by a remote tribe known to inhabit this region, a tribe fiercely protective of their territory and wary of outsiders. The logbook entries suggest that the crew encountered this tribe shortly before their demise. The nature of that encounter remains unclear. Was it a friendly exchange that soured, or a violent confrontation born of misunderstanding and fear? Whatever happened, It's clear that the tribe holds the key to the final chapter of this tragic story. And they're still out there. Our local guide, a seasoned jungle veteran, warns us of the dangers. The tribe, he says, is notoriously hostile, known to defend their ancestral lands with deadly force. They see outsiders as a threat to their way of life, and they're not afraid to act accordingly. Suddenly, our expedition has taken a dangerous turn. We're no longer just explorers uncovering a historical mystery. We're potential targets, intruders in a territory we don't understand. We find fresh tracks near the crash site, subtle signs that we're being watched. The air crackles with an unseen tension. Every rustle of leaves, every snap of a twig sends shivers down our spines. We're no longer alone. Our initial plan to stay longer, to conduct a more thorough investigation, is quickly abandoned. Survival takes precedence. We need to get out of here and fast. But leaving isn't as simple as turning around and walking away. We've disturbed their world, unearthed secrets they may want to keep buried. We have to consider the possibility that they'll try to stop us. And what about the plane? Do we leave it as we found it, hoping the jungle will eventually reclaim it entirely? Or do we take steps to conceal our discovery, to prevent others from stumbling upon it and potentially provoking the tribe further? The decision is far from easy. Revealing our discovery could bring unwanted attention to this region, potentially endangering the tribe and disrupting their way of life. But keeping it secret feels like a betrayal to the crew of the downed plane, a denial of their story. In the end, we opt for a compromise. We document our findings as thoroughly as possible, taking photographs, recording GPS coordinates, and making detailed notes. We carefully conceal the entrance to the plane, camouflaging it with branches and foliage. We erase our tracks as best we can, minimizing our impact on the surrounding environment. We leave the jungle with heavy hearts, burdened by the weight of what we've discovered. We carry with us the echoes of the past, the faces of the fallen, and the unsettling knowledge that we've only scratched the surface of a much larger story. What happens next is uncertain. Do we share our findings with the world, risking the potential consequences? Or do we keep the secret, protecting the tribe and allowing the jungle to continue its silent vigil? The decision is ours, and the weight of that decision will stay with us long after we've left this forgotten place behind.